I want to welcome you to the Pro Mindset Podcast. The Pro Mindset Podcast is all about diving into the headspace that results in championship performance. High-performing athletes, winners, have this mental flow and have a positive headspace for their performances and success. Join me, Craig Domann, sports attorney and NFL agent, on this podcast. I will interview pro athletes, college athletes, football coaches, and sports personalities. Together, we can discover how you can get in the flow and have your own pro mindset. Okay, hey, I want to welcome Dylan Cole, linebacker for Houston Texans, to Pro Mindset today. Dylan, welcome.
Appreciate it. I'm glad to be here.
Okay, Dylan, you're going into year number 3 in the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
What has been the biggest thing you've learned from, let's say, from year 1 to year 2?
Year 1 to year 2?
Yeah.
I think the biggest thing I learned is that you don't have to be the most physically gifted. Yes, physically gifted. I think the mind is more important than the body, honestly, because the mind's not working, the body can't work. So the big deal was just diving into my playbook, understanding what I needed to do, understanding what the people around me needed to do, and when I can figure that out, the game slows down. And
so the biggest difference between year 1 and year 2 is really the understanding that it's more of a mental challenge than it is a physical one. Mm-hmm. So what did you change mentally from, being a rookie to being a second-year player?
Mentally, I think it's more about confidence, confidence in yourself, because the NFL, the business is it's pretty cutthroat, and you have to have confidence in yourself. If you don't have confidence in yourself, then you can't go out there and put your best on film, and that's the most important thing, is putting your best on film.
What are some of the things that you personally are challenged with that attack your confidence? Because when you're in the NFL, you're traveling, you're going to games, you're playing on Sundays, you're doing your thing. There always seems to be things that attack a player's confidence. What do you see as those attacks, and how do you overcome them?
The first one, which I've kind of been dealing with since they started evaluating me, was apparently I'm short and I'm undersized for a linebacker. But I think one of those things is don't worry about what you don't bring to the table. It's all about what you bring to the table. So, maybe I'm a little shorter, maybe a little lighter than some, but I know I'm faster and I know I'm smarter than most. So I think that's the main thing, is not worrying about all the negatives, creating positives, and then just kind of thriving off the positives.
Okay, so doing the agent business for a long time, it isn't always the guys that look the prettiest, that fit the box the most. Mm-hmm. Those are the guys that have success on draft weekend. Those are the guys that couldn't make plays in college, but they still get drafted in the first round, and then the teams can't figure out, scratching their heads 3 years later because they got to cut the guy because he can't make any plays, doesn't know his playbook, but man, he looks good coming off the bus.
Oh, yeah.
So there's been a lot of successful NFL linebackers that have been on the shorter side, and you're taller than some of those guys. Okay, but I do agree that you're going to get critiqued on that. Okay, as you move into year number 3, what do you see as your biggest challenge, and what are you going to do to make sure that you're successful?
I think the biggest challenge for me is staying healthy. My first two years is play 20 games overall. And I know I played 8 last year, so I think the biggest thing for me is staying healthy, playing at least 16, and being ready for the playoffs. O'Brien always says availability is accountability, and I definitely want to be accountable. So making myself available, being healthy is my number one priority for 2019.
So you guys went to the playoffs last year and lost a home game to the Indianapolis Colts. A divisional rival. It looks like you guys might be battling against each other again this season. A lot of the same people coming back. How do you want to improve or enhance the role that you have on the team, so that you can be more valuable to your defense?
I think this year I want to increase the way that I present myself. I think I could be a leader. I think people would listen to me. I've done for 2 years straight now, just leading by example, but being a little bit more vocal, because I do understand our defense, I understand special teams, I understand the NFL and how it works. So bring the young guys along with me, and just making sure everybody's in the right position, especially as a linebacker. You got to be the leader of the defense. And when I'm out there, I got to see myself as the leader of the defense.
What's the number one thing you can do during the week, game week, to put yourself in a position to have success on the field on Sundays?
So it's all about preparation there. It's from there, it's you need to make sure that you're watching a bunch of film. And I wasn't that great at it my rookie year. Got a little better last year, and definitely going to feel like I'm going to take off with it on this year. I think I understand what I'm looking for, understand how the game works a little bit more. So I'm not wasting my time watching film. I'm not just watching to watch. I'm watching with a purpose and understanding what I need to do that week, that specific week, whether it's Indianapolis, Jacksonville, Tennessee, you name them. There's a different mindset you have to go in, and a different way you have to approach film for each of those different teams.
Okay, so watching film with a purpose. You know, every football player starts out watching film probably in high school, and they don't even know what they're looking at, and they're probably just watching the ball or maybe watching themselves. And then you go to college and it's a little bit more detailed. But I really don't think coaches do a great job of showing players how to watch film. When you're sitting in your apartment, you're sitting at home, and you got your iPad, and you have an opportunity. You got 30 minutes of spare time, and you want to watch film. Describe for the audience, what are you looking for now? Just give an example.
Okay. So, I mean, it really just depends on the purpose of why I'm watching film. Am I watching to get better? Am I watching to scout other players? So, for instance, I'm watching the Indianapolis Colts and Quentin Nelson. We'll go take him to guard. I'm watching his stance, trying to see, does he give away pass run keys? Is he looking a certain way? Is he leaning a certain way? There's a lot of things that go into it. How does he pass that? Because sometimes they take me and they'll blitz me over the guard. So how does he pass that? What is he susceptible of? Does he not like power? He's a big grabber. So you have to be able to swat his hands, be able to outquick him, because he's a strong guy. And as a undersized linebacker, I'm quicker than him. I know that. So if I can swat one of his hands, get by him, that's one of those things that I just kind of think of when I'm watching.
Okay, so that's when you're scouting the opponent, and you also mentioned there's the secondary purpose of trying to get better. Mm-hmm. When you're watching yourself, how do you break down film when you're watching yourself?
Okay, so I normally start from the beginning. It's so NFL, you hear it all the time, it's a game of inches. So what is my first step? Am I false stepping? Am I stepping the wrong way? How did I read my keys? Did I read run correctly or pass correctly, or did I mess up? And then if I messed up, how did I recover? And if I read it right, then was I in the right position? And things like that. Maybe how I take on a block. Did I pop the guy quick enough? Because there's a timing of how you shed blocks or get by a guy. So there's a lot. I could spend a full hour just talking about how each different detail of how we watch film, and what I see in me, and then what I see in other players. And then I kind of do the same thing when I'm trying to get better. I watch other linebackers that are doing it well in the NFL. So, Luke Kuechly, obviously. Ryan Shazier was a big one before he got injured. And just what's their first step? How do they recover if their first step was wrong? So there's a lot that goes into it, but that's kind of just a gist of what's going on.
Let's get down in the weeds a little bit on playing linebacker. And one of the things that linebacker coaches and D coordinators talk about all the time is he can't get off blocks. The dude, gets married to the offensive lineman. Okay? So the reality is offensive linemen have most of the time longer arms than almost all the linebackers unless you're an outside guy with length. How do you shed a block when you have shorter arms than the guy that's trying to block you? Obviously, you can go around him. But what if you got some type of gap responsibility where if you go around him, the running back's just going to cut back and you're going to give up a big play?
Yeah.
So how do you attack an offensive lineman that's coming to block you?
Okay, so it's kind of a mind game for me, the way I do it, because I'm obviously undersized. But, at first, most of the time, I'll give them a little shimmy or something, get around them, and then they start thinking, well, this guy wants to go around me. Well, then their shoulders start coming up a little higher, so they don't weigh as much if their body is not down low, and then that's where my leverage comes in. I'm strong for my size, and it's all about timing, like I said earlier. The way that you're able to go from bent arm to a full extension on them is, and the velocity that you do with that is key. So it's timing, it's a mind game, and making sure that because a guy coming at you 300 plus pounds, I'm only 235, 240 when I'm playing. He's going to win that battle half the time. So if he gets his hands on you, they're taught to grab. They're going to grab you. So the deal is that you need to stay as far away as you can from them. So when you're pressing, you want to press quick with velocity, and it's kind of like a power clean. It's hard, all you have in one rep. So pop them, because it's a lot of weight that you gotta hit.
So if you pop them and you keep them from grabbing you, then you win.
Yeah, because if you pop them correctly, they'll stand straight up, and then their weight's back on their heels, and so they're, instead of trying to grab you, they're worried about recovering, because they don't want to fall on their butt. They want to make sure that they stay up. No one wants to fall on their butt on the field. That's one of those deals that the next day everybody watches the film, sees you, and then you got to get crap from them for the rest of the week. So they're worried about recovering. While they're worried about recovering, you're worried about tackling.
Excellent. Okay. You talked about confidence being very important in the NFL. One of the things that I found is that every player has to start over every season. So it's not like you build a 5-year career by just looking at a 5-year win picture. It's really 5 1-year pieces.
Yeah.
And so you got to kind of reinvent yourself every year. And that's where some guys get tripped up, because they think, hey, I'm on cruise control, and then all of a sudden some rook comes in or somebody comes in and takes your spot. And I think that's the reason why Tom Brady's played for, he's going to be 50 or whatever he's going to be this year, because he keeps reinventing himself. Okay? So what is like your reinvention for 2019? Not just staying healthy. How can you put yourself in a position to dominate?
Yeah. Well, I kind of hit on it earlier. I think obviously I want to stay healthy, and then I think I want to increase my role as a leader, not only on the defense but on special teams, because that's been my role, is to be a special teamer that can help on defense, and I think I want to flip that to be a player that can play on defense that does special teams as well. A lot of people you look at, they say, you ask them what their position is. Oh, I'm a special team, I'm a linebacker. Well, when I talk, I want to say I'm a linebacker. I play special teams as well. So
there's 2 things you just said. One is you want to get paid, and 2 is you want to make a big impact, and those go together.
Yes.
The bigger impact you make, the more compensation you're going to get paid, and that comes with having more of a role on defense.
Yeah.
Whether it's starting every game, whether it's playing in a sub package and you play 60% of the time, and certainly special teams is a big responsibility for linebackers. Linebackers across the board, if you can't play teams, you're probably not going to make the roster in the beginning. So, I want to thank you for being on. Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Well, I want to thank Dylan Cole, number 51 with the Houston Texans, linebacker and special teams performer, for being on our show today. I also want to acknowledge that after doing the athlete representation business for a number of years, that players have to have three common things. They have to have belief, they have to be motivated, and they have to have a lifestyle that's consistent with whatever their goals are. And what Dylan talked about today was the intricacies of watching film, breaking down film, analyzing his opponent, being a self-coach and a self-critic of his own performance. And we even got into the nitty-gritty of, how do you best get off blocks? Everybody on a football field has a job to do. And certainly everybody's watching the ball most of the time. Most fans follow the ball. So they see the quarterback on almost every play, maybe a running back, or they see the receiver. But offensive linemen have certain responsibilities, certain footwork, certain hand placement, things like that. And linebackers correspondingly have the same type of technique work they need to be doing on every single play so they can free themselves up to make a play. It doesn't matter if it's a run play and they've got the running back's got a two-way option. If they pick one, if the linebacker picks a side, we know which way the running back's going to go. So the key for a linebacker is to cover both run fits, both run gaps on the right and the left of his blocker, and he's got to be unengaged from that blocker to be able to make a play. And then when you have a linebacker that's in pass coverage, he might have a tight end, he may have a running back out of the backfield. He's got to be able to recover from a misstep, because the tight ends and the running backs, their whole job is to get open, create space, give their quarterback a good look and catch the ball. And if they don't make the cover guy, in this case a linebacker, take a bad step, a wrong step, they haven't done their job. So linebackers a lot of times do take the wrong step because they have to trust the body movement of the receiver, tight end, running back. And it's how quickly and gracefully can they recover. So watching film is a big part of that. The other thing that I want to acknowledge that Dylan did a great job discussing today was the fact that going into year 3, he has a different mindset and different goals than he did when he was a rookie. He understands his position on the roster. He understands how the team views him, wants to have an influence on how his teammates see him, and he wants to make a bigger impact in 2019 than he did in 18. And certainly wants to stay healthy because he hasn't had a season where he's played in all 16 games. So a paramount goal for him this year is to be healthy, play in all 16 games, and hopefully games 17, 18, etc. in the playoffs. So I want to thank you for listening today to Pro Mindset Podcast. I want to thank Dylan Cole for giving us a sneak preview of his 2019 season right before training camp. And this show is being broadcast after week 4. And so Dylan's progress so far is he's been doing very well. He's contributing on the defense. He's contributing on special teams. Fortunately, and acknowledging his leadership, the team selected him as the special teams captain for the Houston Texans for 2019. Thank you for listening to this episode of Pro Mindset. If you enjoyed this podcast, please subscribe, rate, and review this podcast. 5 stars, of course. You can follow us on our website, promindsetpodcast.com, or on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at Pro Mindset Podcast. Thank you so much for listening. We'll see you the next time.